Today I'm making some low-carb, gluten-free almond buns, and while they're good for low-carb diets, they're also gluten-free, which is something I'm having to explore right now. And so I'm going to show you how to make them. I found this recipe on the internet years ago. I can't remember where, but this is not my recipe. So first you take 2/3 a cup of fine almond flour, and you're going to add into that 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder and 2 scrambled eggs. And you're going to mix this together real well, and it's going to get thick and a little pasty in here. And you're going to think, well, that's not going to work. It's going to get real thick. How is that going to make a muffin or some bread? But I'll show you. This is what, and I wish I could remember where I learned it from, but I can't. It was a YouTube video I watched years ago. To this mixture, you're going to add 5 tablespoons of melted butter. And you want to let it cool. You don't want to add it to your eggs and scramble your eggs. And this is going to bring it back to a more liquidy consistency. Kind of like, think cornbread. That's kind of the consistency that this reminds me of the most. And mix that pretty good. And then what you do, today I'm using a 12-count muffin top pan that I've sprayed with your oil that you use, Pam or whatever it is that you use, not sponsored. And I take 1/4 of a cup measuring cup, and it's not going to take a full 1/4 of a cup, but you're just going to put a little bit in each cup. Now it looks like they're going to need more room than this, or you need more in them, but trust me, they spread out and they'll make little muffin tops here. Or little biscuits is what I like to call them. And these must be stored in the fridge, and you can freeze them too. That's what I'm doing today, is making several batches to throw some in the freezer. And then they'll go in the oven at 350 for 8 to 11 minutes. And you'll know they're done when they start getting brown around the edges. And you don't want to overcook them, so check at 8. If they're not brown around the edges, wait a minute, check again, and keep doing it. It looks like I'm going to get 11 out of this today. Number 11 might be a small one. But again, these are going to spread out. You can tap it down a little bit. But I'll put these in the oven and come back and show you what they look like when they're done. I went ahead and whipped up a batch for the larger size, and these make good buns for, like, if you're wanting to have a hamburger or something that requires a bun, even a sandwich, breakfast sandwich, whatever. These work well, and I do put almost 1/4 of a cup in each one of these. And these will go in the oven for the same amount of time, 350 for 8 to 11 minutes. And I do remember, I don't think I mentioned this before, the eggs need to be at room temperature too, so just set them out on the counter an hour or two before you're getting ready to make your buns. I tried to double the recipe once and it didn't turn out, so I just make each batch separately. A little bit more. That one can use a little bit more. I think we got enough just to make that one a little bit more as well. Again, we'll come back and show both of these when they're out of the oven. When they come out of the oven, see how it's just lightly browned around the edges? But what I would like to do is get in here and set them off to the side to cool a little. And have to get something else to get in here. But get them off to set them off to the side to cool, and that'll help keep them from sticking, but it also helps keep them from getting too soft on the bottom. And here's the larger buns, and I do the same thing and set them out on the side. And you can see on these how they get a little brown on the back side, and so it makes it really good for a bun. But let them cool completely before you store them in the fridge or your freezer. These larger size do toast well in the toaster, but the smaller ones might get lost. But it reminds me of kind of like cornbread. That's what it reminds me of most. Not quite cornbread, but it's great. These sizes are great for making sausage biscuits or breakfast biscuits, and these are greater for sandwiches and burgers.